This is the Mazda 3 hatchback, and this is a Subaru Impreza. Now these are two of the most popular all-wheel drive hatchbacks you can get on the market today. But the question is, which one do you choose? So we're gonna put them up against each other and grade them on 4 categories: exterior, interior, performance, and price. My name is Carson with the Hello Auto Group, and let's get to it. So let's start with the exterior design for both of these vehicles. So let's take a look at the Mazda 3's design. Now today we have the Carbon Edition with us, and the only reason for that is that this is the lowest trim you can get all-wheel drive on. Now the color you get here is the polymetal gray, which looks fantastic. I love the color here. You also get 18-inch black alloy wheels, which also help with the design of this. Now when looking at the design of the Mazda 3, you can tell that Mazda really focused on a subtle look. Nothing too aggressive, nothing too sporty. But they do add flares of that throughout the car, and it really wraps up this sporty little hatchback. At the front, we get these really nice sharp LED headlights, along with a nice open grille with the Mazda logo stamped right in the middle. And I really love how aggressive, but how subtle the front end looks. Now, as we move to the side of the Mazda 3, you'll definitely notice that subtleness continuing. Now, we do have some body lines here, but the main thing is that they're very subtle, which does give it that smooth premium look. And as we move to the back of the Mazda 3, I think this is my favorite part of it. You really see most of the sporty attributes here. We get a small little spoiler up here that has our brake light in it. We get these nice sharp tail lights. The bottom of our bumper is black, which I really like because it adds that little contrast between the polymetal gray. And of course, we get dual exhaust, which always brings out the sporty element of a vehicle, in my opinion. Overall, the Mazda 3 hatch has these sporty elements that I really like without it being way too loud about it, which does give it a more mature and premium look. The exterior for the Subaru Impreza is actually really nice. I noticed that Subaru went for a more sporty and adventurous look with the Impreza. If we look up front, we have these very sharp LED steering responsive headlights, which look fantastic. We have a nice big grille with the Subaru logo right in the middle. And as we go further down, we have some nice fog lights. Overall, the front of the car looks very sporty and aggressive, and it really goes with the rest of their lineup. Now looking at the side profile of the Impreza, we still get that sporty style, which I really like. Now looking at the wheels, we have 18-inch dark gray machined alloy wheels, which look fantastic. I love the silver and black outline. It just looks great all around. Now looking at the back of the Impreza, we have the small little spoiler here with the brake light on there. We have these nice big tail lights that look very aggressive, very cool. Now this does have a single exhaust outlet, and it is underneath the bumper, so it's not visible here. Overall, I think the Impreza has a fun style to it. It looks like something that any type of driver can own. Now let's see what the interior has to offer. So the interior of the Mazda 3 hatch is very nice. So like I said, this is the Carbon Edition, so you get a lot of extra goodies. For example, you get these nice red seats, along with red stitching going across the vehicle. Now, everything in here is very soft touch material. It is so premium, it's very nice. Now, our steering wheel is very nice, wrapped in leather. It's not too bulky, it's nice and thin, and it just has a very premium look. Now, we don't get paddle shifters on this model. You only get that on the turbocharged models. Now, on one side of our steering wheel, we have our media controls, and on the other side of our steering wheel, we have our driving assistance. Now moving to the center of the car, we have an 8.8-inch full display screen here for our infotainment system. Now unfortunately, it's not touchscreen, but you do get a dial right here that helps you control all the settings. And we do get wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, so no more flimsing around with a cord. Now the seats are very comfortable, they're both leather wrapped. The driver's seat is 8-way power adjustable, while the passenger seat is a manual adjustable seat. Now the back seats are a little bit of a different story. I sit at 6'1", so it's a little bit snug for me back here. I did have to even move the front seat up a bit just so I can get my legs in. And with the headspace, while I do have headspace, it is a little bit tight. I am getting very close to the roof. Now, of course, in the center, you do have your cup holders and your armrest. And no, you don't get any USB chargers back here. It's very minimal, which isn't a problem for the Mazda 3 hatchback. And now we're at the trunk of the Mazda hatchback. Now, this being a hatchback, you do get a good amount of trunk space. Now, with the seats up, you get about 20.1 cubic feet of space. But if you put down the back seats, you get 47.1 cubic feet of space, which is a very nice amount for this hatchback. Now, inside of the Impreza, it's a pretty nice place to be. Now, there is a lot of harder plastics around, but we do get a lot of soft touch material, which is still a plus. Now, our steering wheel is pretty big and beefy, but it's still very comfortable in the hands. Now, since this is the sport model, we do get the paddle shifters on the back. On one side of our steering wheel, we have our media controls. On the other side, we have our driving assistance, and we also have our sport mode button on the steering wheel as well. Now in the center, we have Subaru's well-known Starlink infotainment system that has an 11.6-inch touchscreen display. Now, it's a fantastic system. It works really well, and it gives you so much information you can work with. This is one of my favorite affordable big screens you can get in the car. Now, one thing I really do like here is the armrest. There's nothing fancy that it does, but it is very deep. You open it up, and you can fit a lot of things down there. Now, here in the back of the Impreza Sport, it's still pretty basic, but there's one thing I really love back here. Now, I have a lot of space. Now, my knee space isn't too great right now. I just didn't push the front seat forward, but you could if you want. But the thing I'm really impressed by is the headspace. I have a good amount of headspace. I can sit back without worrying about anything, and that is an A+ in my book, especially as a hatchback. Now, in the center, you do have your armrest. You just pull it down and it'll reveal your two cup holders. And unfortunately, in the center, we don't have any type of USB Type-C chargers or any type of chargers at all. And finally, here we have our trunk. Now here, with the seats up, you get about 20.4 cubic feet of space, but if you put the seats down, it'll go up to 56 cubic feet of space, which is pretty good in my book. Finishing off with the exterior and the interior, it's time to see what kind of performance these hatchbacks have. With the Mazda 3, you get two engine options. The first one is a 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine that puts out 191 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque. The second option is a turbocharged version of that engine that gives you 250 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Overall, pretty good numbers for the Mazda 3 hatchback. Now, moving on to the Subaru Impreza, we also get two engine options. Now, the base trim and the sport trim get the 2-liter four-cylinder boxer engine that puts out 152 horsepower and 145 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you go to the RS trim, you get the 2.5-liter boxer engine that puts out 182 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. Overall, not bad at all. Those are solid numbers. When you do compare it to the Mazda 3 though, it is lacking a bit. And when it comes to handling, a lot of people prefer the Mazda 3 hatchback, saying that it's a little bit more dialed in and you get better steering feel. With everything wrapped up, it's time to take a look at how much these vehicles cost. Now, the Impreza has 3 trim levels you can choose from. Now, the one we have here is the Impreza Sport, which starts at $24,995. But if you want the base model, that starts at $22,995. And the RS, the more performance-oriented one, starts at $27,885. When you look at it across the board, the Subaru Impreza is very affordable. Now, the Mazda 3 hatch is a little bit different. There are 7 different trim levels you can pick from. Now, we're not going to go through all 7 here. That could be for a different video. But I will say, if you want to get into the Carbon Edition, the one we have here today, the starting price is $30,560. Now, if you want to get into a base model, you're looking at $24,950. And for the top dog Turbo Premium Plus trim, you're looking at $36,950. So what are my final thoughts for the Mazda 3 and the Subaru Impreza? If you're looking at getting the Impreza, you're really looking at the best value for your money. Now, the material in the interior could be a bit better, and you're definitely not in a high-performance hot hatch. But you get a good-looking vehicle that has all-wheel drive standard, a big touchscreen display, and a roomy interior, all for a very affordable price. And in my opinion, that's a hard reason to turn down the Impreza. In my opinion, the Mazda 3 hatch is luxury at an affordable price. Now, just like the Impreza, there are some things I wish were different. A touchscreen would be a nice addition and a bit more roomy interior. Also, the cheapest you can get all-wheel drive is in the non-turbo carbon edition, which is more expensive than any Impreza you can pick, but you do get what you're paying for. The exterior is very mature while the interior has that premium vibe with leather seats and soft touch material everywhere, and it gives you a good amount of power to back up the looks. Being in the Mazda 3, I always feel like I get more than what I'm paying for. Now that wraps up our video today, but let us know in the comments, which one are you more interested in? The Mazda 3 hatchback or the Subaru Impreza? Now, if you are in the market for one and you're trying to pick right now, be sure to go to helloautogroup.com to take a look at what we have to offer. Besides that, my name is Carson, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.